What's up guys, Asian here again, and today we're going to be discussing what has recently just been data mined. So for those of you guys who don't know what's been going on, there has been new information that has been data mined concerning the next chapter. So for those of you guys who don't know what data mining is, the way Elder Scrolls Online works is that information from a next update, an upcoming update, is sometimes placed within the in-game files themselves. Typically speaking, the average player will not really be able to see this sort of data, and the idea behind it is when the data is eventually going to be released, all those assets are already within the game, so you don't have to re-download them. Basically makes the download a little bit smaller. Now, these assets are obviously not really sort of things that are finalized. These assets are always going to be things that are finalized. These are typically going to be things that are pretty small, nothing like new class stuff or anything like that. It's normally things like icons, perhaps mounts, names of certain places, maybe loading screens, things like that. So a lot of this stuff is not really going to be necessarily substantive in terms of and determining what the new chapter is actually going to be about. There's no things like quest data, there's no class data, anything like that. But nonetheless, there's enough information here that we can basically say, as the title of this thread says, that the next chapter is going to be in Elsweyr. So that's how you pronounce that name right there. Elsweyr is pronounced Elsewhere. And this is part of the Khajiit homeland. So it does seem like we are going to the south. Basically, Elsewhere is a little bit south of Cyrodiil. It's kind of on the edge of Reaper's March. I think it's a little bit to the east of Reaper's March, where it is in terms of its geographical placement in Tamriel. So pretty excited, especially for those of you guys who really like the Khajiits. So we should see a lot of more in-game lore concerning the Khajiits. Now, a lot like things on the PTS, things that are data mined, while a lot of it is set in stone, there are a couple of things that could change. Assets could change, things like this, things like that. But based on the amount of information and the type of information that we're getting, I find it to be pretty far-fetched that we're going to see any sort of major changes based on what we have from this data mine. So the new features that we managed to pull from Elseweyr were obviously the zone name, Elseweyr, and then there's going to be a new class called the Necromancer. There are dragons. We're not 100% sure whether it's some sort of like boss for a trial or just kind of generic enemies in Elseweyr, but that's basically what was data mined. And then the overarching plot line, we're not 100% certain, but it does seem like they are going to be introducing some sort of new plot line. It just kind of makes sense considering the closure that we got from Somerset, so to speak, with the Three Princes plot line there. So we're gonna have to wait and see what kind of plot line holds true, is gonna kind of be connecting this chapter and potentially the next chapter as well, or potentially DLCs. There is a chance that the upcoming DLC will probably have some sort of connection to Elsewhere, but that remains to be seen. There has been a couple of leaks about. Shouldn't say a leak. There's been an image that's also been going around on Twitter that basically has a letter from Abner Tharn and a tablet of a dragon that's been broken. Some people thought this meant something about a dragon break, but just kind of taking the data mine information into context now. Abner Tharn, for those of you guys who have not played through the main quest, is part of the Five Companions, and he is a necromancer like many other Imperial mages. So that kind of ties into the new class necromancy. It could be, if I had to wager a guess, you might have to work with Abner Tharn, and he'll teach you how to be a necromancer in order to kind of continue this plotline sort of thing. And then obviously the dragon tablet breaking somehow signifies these new dragons coming into play here. So that's kind of my connection with that image that's been going around there. Now, currently there's not that many things that we have data mined right now. Currently, it's a lot of loading screens and images of kind of locations. So you can see here, you have this is an image of a dragon. This is some sort of housing. This is Sheogorath's. FPO is kind of their kind of placeholder for any sort of loading screens. You have a couple of loading screens here. This is from Moonhunter and things like that. Apartments, housing. There are a couple of houses down here, but there is some sort of image here that kind of indicates the new chapter coming up. Here are the new icons. So here's this Elsewire. There's a necromancy collectible, sword, dragon collectible. Not 100% sure what these mean yet. This is a bigger blown up image of that probably loading screen, it looks like, just based on the art. This is a dragon, so go ahead and click on it. This does look like sort of like a Skyrim dragon. It looks more like a wyvern than a dragon itself. Dragons have 4 arms, wyverns have 2. So that is that. And then there's the next thing that is kind of up here. So this image here, if you guys remember with Morrowind and Somerset, there we have the Ouroboros. That's probably going to be the Ouroboros for when they announce Elsewire. Then this is probably going to be the class token for Necromancer. And then you kind of have, this is probably some sort of souvenir if you like maybe pre-order Elsewhere. And you have a bunch of clown store items, some mounts and some costumes, some pets and things like that. So this all comes from UESP Discord, and specifically there is a special shout out to Arco Namla, who is saying that he is going to data mine more stuff, and so this thread will probably be updated as more things are coming up. So this was just the first update that we have here. So really, all that we really know at this point with Elsewire is really that we have a new class that is coming in, the Necromancer. So for those of you guys who still have class character slots, it would be worth potentially opening up a slot for Necromancer class. Just based on the class itself, I would imagine that Necromancers are probably going to be more Magicka based compared to Stamina based. You might see, hopefully it won't be too much of a kind of copy paste from the Sorc, the existing class. So we'll have to wait and see when Elsewhere comes out on the PTS, probably in May. Just basically what sort of things Necromancer is going to give to the ESO, how it's going to shift the meta, and how it's going to change basically how things are going to play out. The other thing that we really hope for in Elsewire is a full-length trial, something very similar to Maw or Halter's Fabrication, and not a mini trial. But again, that all remains to be seen. The only thing we've managed to data mine so far are really just artistic assets, as well as the name of the new class that's going to be introduced with Elsewire. So that is it for this video. I will have a link down in the description below to this forum thread if you guys want to keep an eye on whatever else is being data mined. So hopefully all you guys are getting excited about Elsewire. I know I am, just because I really like the Khajiit lore. I think Khajiits are probably one of the more interesting races in the Elder Scrolls universe, so I'm pretty excited to get into Elsewire. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys found it informative, and I'll see you guys in the next dungeon.